Hi guys, hopefully you've watched the intro video to how to do this. It's called Algebra 3H page 4 intro, and it's worth having a watch because some people can find this skill quite difficult. Right, so first question, we've got to solve each of the following equations, and these have already been factorised, so they're quadratic equations which have already been factorised, and if you remember from before, factorising is an incredibly efficient way to solve a quadratic because we turn it into this form where we've got two brackets times in together to make 0, and if that's the case then one of the brackets or both the brackets must be 0. So we just set each bracket equal to 0 and solve, find out what x would be. So for this one, if I add 1 to both sides and divide by 2, we find that x is a half. And for this bracket, if we just add 2 to both sides, we find that x is 2. And I'm going to speed along the process of doing these ones where you don't have a number in front of x, because it always is just the negative of whatever this number is. Okay, on the next one, I would still recommend writing out a little equation when you don't have a number, when you do have a number in front of x. It just means you're less likely to make a mistake. So here I'm going to add 3 to both sides, then divide by 4. And it's much easier to just keep your answers in fractions as well, rather than then having to convert into decimals. This one's just going to be x equals -1. Remember, with most quadratics, certainly most ones you'll be asked about, there are usually two answers. It is possible that there could be one answer, and we'll come to those. It can also be possible that there are no answers, but if that's the case, you wouldn't even be able to factorise it in the first place. So if it's been factorised like all of these, that means there's probably one or two answers. So this one we're going to take away 3 from both sides and divide by 2. And again, just leave your answer as a fraction, it's easier. This one again is something where the number in front of x is not 1, so I would use a little equation. It doesn't take very long to do. 5 over 2 or 2.5, but I'm just going to keep it as 5 over 2. Okay. On to the next question. Step up in difficulty. We've now got to factorise it. They were nice, they were already done for us. And if you've watched the intro video, hopefully you'll have a flavour for what this is like. This is a 2x squared quadratic, so I know that the first two terms in those brackets are going to be 2x and x. That's the only way to times together two things and get 2x squared. And they're all factorisable, so I know I can use this method. I'm going to use the inspection method, simply because there isn't really enough room for the other method, but if you prefer using the other method, by all means use your maths book or a bit of paper to do the working out and then just write your answer in here. So with the inspection method, I'm looking at this number first at the end because I know these last two terms will still times together to make that. So I know that I've got to have 2 and 1, it's just a case of where I put them, and a reminder that it's going to be the term in the other bracket that gets doubled in this case. Now how can I make 5 using the numbers 2 and 1? Doubling one of them and adding the other. Well, if I double the 2 I'll get 4, add 1 I'll get the 5. So I want to double the 2, so that needs to go there, and I want to add 1. And you can always check these by expanding out the bracket again. Okay, but if you expand that out you should get this quadratic. Now don't forget we haven't solved it there. We've just factorised it, so now we have to solve it by doing what we did above. We're going to take away 1 and divide by 2, so the answer is -1/2. And this answer over here from this bracket is that x equals -2. I'm not going to do them all. I might just do one with some negatives in, and then I'll reveal the answers and you can mark your own. So I'm going to have a look at question G. G's harder in another way as well. Not only that it's got a negative, but we've got 10x squared here, and there are two ways of getting 10x squared. You could either have 10x times x, or you could have 5x times 2x. Right, I'm trying to make +1 by timesing some numbers together. And there's only one way to do that, 1 times 1. But I'm trying to add to get 11x. Now if I times one of those by 5 and one of them by 2, the most I can possibly get is 7, or -7 if they were both negative. So it's not going to be this one. It's got to be the one above. So I'm going to rub that out. Okay. So I want to times 1 by 10x, and that would give me 10x. I want negative 10x, and I also want to then take away another x. So these both have to be negative 1, and when you times two negative 1s together, you'll get a positive 1. So we've factorised. I always put the equals 0 in if it's an equation, just to remind myself I then have to go on and solve it. This one's the one I'm going to write an equation for. So 10x equals 1, so x equals 1/10, or 0.1. And from this bracket, x equals 1. Okay. Pause the video here, have a go, and I will write the answers in and reveal them. Okay, there's the answers to some of the missing ones. I'm just going to pick up from question H, because, again, I think it's a good one to show you the difficulties with possible combinations of what could make 6x squared. Now I know it could be 6x and 1x. I'm going to think ahead a little bit. It could also be 2x and 3x. Now I need my numbers to times together to make 18. So my options are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, and that's it. Now if it was 6x and x, one of those numbers would get times by 6, the other by 1, and I need to make 31. So it's not going to be this first pair. Times 2 by 6, that would be 12, plus 9 is not going to give me 31. 3 times 6 would be 18, plus 6 would be 24, so it's not going to be that one. 6 times 6 would be 36, and I can't take away 3 to get 31, so it's not this pair, basically. So the other option was that it was 3x and 2x that times together to make 6x squared. Now let's try doing this. So one of these numbers is going to get tripled, the other one doubled. Now if I triple that, that's going to get me too high, so I don't want to do that. In fact, I don't think it's these numbers at all. If I triple the 2, I'm going to get 6. Double the 9, I'm going to get 18. Add them together, that gives me 24. Let's try it the other way around. Triple the 2, double the 2 would give me 4. Triple the 9 would give me 27. And those would then add together to make 31. So I want to double the 2 to get 4. Remember, that would cause that. And I want to triple the 9 to give me 27x, and that would cause that. Okay, and if you don't believe me, expand out the bracket and you'll see that that works. So 3x plus 2 is 0. 3x equals negative 2, so x equals negative 2/3. From that bracket, from this one, 2x plus 9 is 0, so 2x equals negative 9, so x is negative 9/2. Okay, similar process on the next one. Could be 9x times x, could be 3x times 3x. So let's find out. So pairs of numbers that times together to make 8 first of all. 1 and 8, or 2 and 4. Don't worry about the negatives. Okay, can I times any of these numbers by 9, add the other one, and somehow get negative 6? Well, if I'm certainly not going to times the 8 by 9, it'll get me too high. If I times that by 9, I'll get 9. Can't do anything with that to get 6. If I times this by 9, I'd get 18. No, too big, too big. Okay, so it's not going to be 9x and x. It is going to be 3x times 3x. Okay, so if I triple this, I'm going to get 24. I can't triple that and do anything with it to then take me down to 6. If I triple this, I'd get 6. Triple that, I'd get 12. Now you can see that if I've got 12 and 6, I can make negative 6. What I want to do is take away 12 from positive 6. So I want to have a plus 2 there, because that would cause me to get a plus 6x, and then I want to have a, whoops, and then I want to have a minus 4 here, because this multiplication would cause me to get negative 12x. So that's my factorised form, the solution therefore, if I add 4 to both sides of this, get 3x equals 4, and then divide by 3, so x is 4/3, and from this bracket, take away 2, divide by 3, x is negative 2/3. Okay, again, I'll let you have a go at some of the next ones. Okay, there's the remaining answers for that section. Pause the video here and mark your work, and then we'll go on to the next bit below. Okay, on question 3 was doing the same thing. The only difference with these ones is that they are not already equal to 0, so we have to make them equal to 0. So for this first one, we've tackled a question similar to these somewhere above. We are going to take away 2 from both sides, and that would leave us with 5x squared minus 9x plus 4 on that left-hand side, and a 0 on the right. And then it's ready to do exactly as what we've done above, factorise. Just a bit harder to factorise these ones. So it's going to be 5x and x, because there's only one way to make 5x squared. My numbers are either 1 and 4 or 2 and 2 at the end of those brackets. One of those numbers is going to get times by 5, and I somehow have to make 9. So if I times this by 5, this 1 by 5, I'll get 5, and then I can use the 4 to get a 9. But I want to have them both negative, so I want to make negative 5x. Oops. So I want to times the 1 by the 5, and I want to times the 4 just by the 1x, and that should work. So 5x minus 4 is 0. 5x equals 4, so x is 4/5, and from this bracket x equals 1. Okay, I'm going to pause the video here and then reveal the answers in a second, so if you don't want to see them, just pause the video. Just remember to do whatever it takes to get 0 on one of the sides, and really you want the x squareds or the letter squareds, whatever letter they're using, to be positive. Makes it easier to factorise. Okay. And there's the answers to those questions.